Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to the Week 5 of the 2023 NFL season. That's right, we're on the Week 5, and let's go ahead and get this out of the way first. I apologize for not doing a Week 4 recap video to kind of go over all the games, how I did in my games, and kind of some insights, a lot of injury updates on that one. But I actually went 12-4 last week. Of course, one of my losses was Chicago. Thanks, Bears. Had the game in hand and just could not hold on to it. But quite happy with that one. We'll see how we do this week because bye weeks are already showing up already. That's right, 4 teams will not be playing this week. That's Cleveland. The Chargers, Seahawks, and the Buccaneers will all be staying home this week. A little R&R, watch their opponents play, take some notes, and see if they can learn from them for possible future matchups. Also, we're staying in London once again this week. We'll head to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, our stadium over there on the north side of London. Jaguars play in there again. 2 weeks in a row, the Jaguars have played in London. So we can go over that one, but let's go ahead and kick off our Thursday night action with Chicago taking on Washington. As I said, the Bears had a great game plan against Denver. They jumped out early. They stifled Denver for 3 quarters. 3 quarters they had them. They just couldn't close them out. They just couldn't do ball security to keep them in line. Couldn't get the defense step up to stop Russell Wilson, and Denver won last week. Washington took it to the Eagles, took that game to overtime, where Philadelphia finally won that one. So these are 2 teams that had great performances last week. Both of them had losses. One was closer than what I think a lot of people really thought they was. I knew it was going to be close because just how Washington Philly plays. But I think Chicago picked the wrong head coach. Maybe they should get Eric Bieniemy, who's the new OC over there in Washington, to be the head coach. Why he's not head coach, I do not understand. Because you see what he's doing with that offense, with the talent that's out of Washington, and how well they're actually performing, and really performing more than what they really should. Even though Howell has more interceptions than touchdowns, but they still find themselves competitive. They got 2 wins already this season, which is more than Chicago. So something seems to be going right over there. Right now the line is Washington by 6. I think the Washington defense is really going to step up. I think Washington's going to have a down play. I really do. I hope so. Because I think I'll continue to pick the Bears for the rest of the season until at least they get 1 victory. At least get 1. I can't have them, tying the Detroit Lions for an 0-win record. They can't do that. In fact, they'll be the worst one because if they lose all 17 games, 0-17, they'll be the worst team ever. Ever. Can't handle that. So, like I said, Glenn for punishment. I'm going with Chicago, but I'm not confident with that one at all. And Sunday, like I said, we're back out to London. This time the Bills are playing the Jaguars. The Bills right now are favored by 5.5. Buffalo showed that they are the beast of the East right now. Took care of Miami quite handily. Jacksonville had, their little issues as well. But they were able to outlast Atlanta in their matchup and get back on track. But they're going to find themselves behind a monster right now, with Diggs and Allen working together once again. Jaguars defense is going to have a hard time trying to contain this. I've given this to the Bills. Right now they're favored by 5.5. I like those odds. Going to come back across the pond, back into hot Atlanta, where the Falcons play host to the Texans. The Texans right now have a very, very good quarterback in C.J. Stroud. He's yet to throw a pick. It's like the 7th one that has the first 4 games is yet to throw a pick while throwing 6 touchdowns. It's pretty impressive. Houston has a very young, talented team. It looks like we got the coach in place to really kind of help set the tone and create the culture, which has been lacking in Houston for a while. And Atlanta's got some unique pieces in place as well. So we'll see how this one kind of plays out. Right now, Atlanta's favored by 2. And like last week, I'm taking Houston. I call for Houston to beat Pittsburgh, by the way. I think there's something special going on in Houston. I think sooner or later the bubble will burst, but right now they got that nice soft spot in their schedule, and I think they will get a few good wins and maybe have some heads turning, scratching here in a minute. Head to the Motor City where the Lions play host of the Panthers. Last week I had the Panthers winning their first game. They failed to do so. Bryce Young's back in quarterback. Detroit had no issues last week either, winning in Green Bay, which I called. And right now, Detroit's fair by 10. I think it's gonna be a little bit down. I kind of go more of a 8 or 7.5 on this one, but I still am picking Detroit. I think there's just too much talent right now with the Lions, and they got everything going in the right direction. They're looking like they're going to try to take the North, which a lot of people called in the beginning of the season. So we'll see this momentum will continue to press forward, but I like the Lions at home. The Titans and Colts square off at Indianapolis. The Titans manhandled the Bengals last week. The Colts have been showing that they're a very resilient team themselves. I mean, they handled, they were handling the Rams for a bit, but they couldn't keep up with them. I have a feeling they'll be able to keep up with the Titans in this aspect. The Titans just win these teams. They kind of go up and down, trying to figure out which version is going to show up. Derrick Henry has his moments. He only has 2 touchdowns so far this season, rushing. Doesn't even have 300 yards yet. Tannehill has more interceptions. Has double his interceptions and his touchdowns. So there's a lot of question marks. Indianapolis has shown to be a very resilient team and can be very effective. Richardson has been a very unique quarterback aspect that has really changed the dynamics in Indy. Pittman Jr. being one of his favorite targets, but only hooked up for 1 touchdown. Right now, Tennessee's favored by 2. I will take the Colts in this one. Their 2 teams are built kind of similar in design. I think the Colts have the younger talent. Titans have the experience. I think it's going to be a close matchup. I think the Colts will edge out. The G-Men will head down to South Beach to take on the Dolphins. The G-Men right now are a complete disarray. Daniel Jones doesn't look like to be the savior that they thought he was going to be after giving the big contract. But I know that the schedule's a lot tougher for the Giants this year. And for the Dolphins, they have to rebound after getting manhandled by the Bills. And the Giants are the next one on the docket. They have Miami by 11. I think it's going to be at least a 14-point spread, at least. Miami is going to look to embarrass the Giants right out of the gate. They're going to set precedent, and they're going to inflict as much damage as they possibly can early. I don't think it's going to be as bad as that 70-point affair they did against Denver. But I think they will jump out early and take control. They have the Saints head up to New England to take on the Patriots. And right now, Mac Jones is another quarterback. The Jones brothers right now are just, terrible. They're not related, by the way. But I think Mac Jones is on his 3rd offensive coordinator. His best offensive coordinator is Josh McDaniels, who's the head coach of the Raiders right now. And then the next year he had a defensive coordinator and your special teams coordinator run the offense. And then you get the fiascos going on right now. For the Saints, it's Carr could be coming back, so we'll see how well he can stay upright. There's a lot of talent right there with both teams. New England's favored by 1 right now. I think it will be that close. I really do. New England has a very stout defense. So do the Saints. So both teams are trying to bounce back from last week's letdowns. And I will also go with New England on this one, and I like the spread. I think it's going to be really, really tight, and it could actually go either way, to tell you the truth. Baltimore heads to the Steel City in their clash in the AFC North. Kenny Pickett is out. Trubisky's not the starter. Canada has been called for his to be removed as OC for Steelers as well. That Steelers offense is in shambles. The defense can't do all the work. You know, TJ Watt's trying to. The Baltimore's defense is going to be stout. Lamar Jackson's going to find ways to move around and try and do something himself. You know, he has some receiver issues. Right now, Baltimore's favored by 4. I go more to the 3-point side, but I'm going for the Ravens as well. Then the Eagles go Hollywood. That's right. They have the LA take on the Rams. And, you know, Matthew Stafford taking on Jalen Hurst. Philly right now, it looks really, really solid with the offense. The Rams offense is just a hodgepodge of receivers that no one has heard of. Nakio is like their number one receiver, 500 yards and a touchdown. Matthew Stafford still throws a lot of picks. He's kind of injured a little bit. Philly struggled against Washington, but held on and won in overtime. Get the true test. The Rams, I think, has been overperforming a lot. I think the really true letdown they had was against the 49ers. And for me, I still think the Rams still has some viability because they still got some stout defenders that Jalen Hurst and the offensive line of the Eagles have to take account. I think Kelsey should be able to handle that one-ish. Philly's offensive line is great. Match up against a great defensive line with the Rams. 2 points there. You know, two powerhouse lines trying to go at it, trying to see who's going to win that chess match. The war of the trenches. Can the Phillies secondary handle the Phillies receivers? There's a question mark. Can you contain Jalen Hurst as best as possible? That's another question mark. And can the Eagles defense handle the Rams offense? I went back and forth that right now the Eagles are favored by 4.5 at the time I'm recording this video. And I went back and forth who I was going to pick. Because I kind of like how things what Rams are doing, even though they're 2-2. But I think they're going to find ways to try to make themselves relevant this year. And I'll take the Rams to give the Eagles their first loss. I know that's a stretch, so I probably could put the L right there. But, you know, I got to throw an upset in here so often. But I'll go with the Rams in a surprise move, beating the Eagles. We head to the desert. Glendale's the Cardinals take on the Bengals. The Bengals got embarrassed last week by Tennessee. The Cardinals were no match for the 49ers, even though they did make a game here and there, but the 49ers were able to squeak out and move themselves forward. They had that game against Dallas where they just totally dominated. The game against the Giants that should have won. So Arizona's quietly put themselves a nice little team out there. Everyone overlooked. Now they're still 1-3. Cincinnati's having a bunch of issues right now. That Bengals offensive line is horrible. Once again, nothing new. Cincinnati right now is favored by 3. I'm taking Arizona. I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one to win at home. I'm going to do probably the same thing they did against Dallas. Very stout defense, opportunistic defense. And if the Cardinals can get the running game attack going once again and get Carter out in the open and just busting loose, I get to that. But I think the Bengals will try. But I think Burrow will probably get injured once again because that calf is just going to play him up for the rest of the year. But I said the Cardinals squeaked this one out. At the Mile High where the Broncos play host to the Jets. Now, this is an interesting one. For the Jets, there was so much talk about Zach Wilson being removed, and he had that game against the Chiefs where he was phenomenal. He was doing everything. He had one mistake. Just one. And, helping the Chiefs in the end. But he was poised. The offense looked great. They created plays for his strengths. The defense made opportunities, and they turned over Mahomes twice. So you got that going for you. Denver was a hot mess for 3 quarters in the Windy City. It was that fourth quarter, just opportunistic defense. Poor ball security by the Bears led to a score in the defense. And then Denver was able to finally make a nice move down the field, and kick a game-winning field goal. But can Denver continue that? That is the question. I think the Jets can. I got more faith in the Jets, in Zach Wilson, than I do right now the Broncos and Russell Wilson. And that's a stretch because Russell Wilson is a great quarterback. Denver's favored by 1.5. I'm taking the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be a little too much for Denver. I put Denver 0-3 at home, which is something I don't think they want to be at, but there's nothing different right now. I think I can pinpoint and say, hey, this is where they're going to go. The Jets, I can definitely do that. Their win against the Bills to start the season. Their loss against the Chiefs show a turning point, I think. If they can build on that, they're fine. But this game, I think it's anyone's guess, really. I'm still going with the Jets. The Mean Green. Then we head to the Twin Cities over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as the Vikings play host to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Vikings went down to Charlotte and escaped with their first victory of the season. Kirk Cousins is still a very, very proficient quarterback, over 1,200 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. He did have 4 picks. Probably one of the best receivers right there as well, with Justin Jefferson. Over 500 yards receiving already with 3 touchdowns. And the Chiefs' receiving core is still a question mark. There's still a lot of issues with Patrick Mahomes because he had a couple errant throws last week. Probably helpful with a couple of questionable calls. But it's the running tag, I think, is going to be the key focal point for the Chiefs. And Pacquiao had a hell of a game last week in pretty much his home return, since he is a graduate of Rutgers University. And he was making a statement against the Jets. I think that's going to be the difference. I think it's going to be the Chiefs rushing attack is going to be the difference in this one. I think Jones should disrupt Cousins enough to really disrupt the timing of the receivers and quarterback. Right now, Kansas City's favored by 4. I like that one. I will give it to Kansas City as well. I like the Chiefs in this one. But they're going to probably stumble here shortly. Sunday night, we'll head out to Santa Clara as the San Francisco 49ers will play host to the Dallas Cowboys. The 49ers have knocked out the Cowboys the past 2 years in the postseason. Seems to be in the bane existence of the Cowboys right now. The Cowboys-49ers always seem to be a great rivalry, especially in the postseason play. These two teams always seem to find themselves near the top of the NFC year in, year out. But if the 49ers can continue to run the ball with McCaffrey and get McCaffrey the ball, I think that's one of the main issues there, is get McCaffrey the ball. And you still got to worry about Deebo Samuel. You got to worry about Ayuk. You still got to worry about Kittle. So there's a lot of weapons on the 49ers offense to try to handle, and not having Diggs in the secondary for the Cowboys will be a factor. Michael Parsons is a stud on defense for the Cowboys, who will make life difficult for Purdy. So like I said, they can do what the Cardinals did and kind of take Michael Parsons out of the equation with the rushing attack. I think they'd be all right, because the Cowboys' rushing attack could be stifled. They still got Bosa on the 49ers' defensive line, so that would be a huge factor. The Cowboys' offensive line is very talented. So have Dak Prescott, a very talented quarterback himself, some talented receivers. So I think Dallas should make this a game. Right now, the spread is 4 points by the time this video is being recorded, and I can dig that. I see that. This is going to be a very tight matchup. I don't think it's going to be anyone's advantage coming into this one. I think it's going to be whoever can control the ball security, control the clock, and whoever has the last play. It's going to be a dandy Sunday night. Then Monday night, we head to Las Vegas, where the Raiders hosted the Green Bay Packers. And these are two teams that are just trying to struggle along. The Raiders are suffering with injuries. Devontae Adams could be out. Garoppolo should be back. With the Packers, you don't know which version of Jordan Love you're going to get. But this is first year starting, so you're going to get these growing pains. He has a bunch of young talent around him on offense, young talent on defense. Right now, Green Bay's favored by 1 point in this aspect. I tend to agree with that one because I'm not sure exactly how this game plan is going to play out. I believe more right now in Jordan Love as the quarterback than Josh McDaniels as the head coach. But I'll go with Green Bay sneaking out with that W. Well, there you go. Those are the games in the short week. Remember, you got 4 teams that have a bye week this week, so they can sit home and watch all these games. When you think of my picks, I know I went on the edge a couple of them, especially with the Bears. The Rams, I think, is another one. And the Cardinals might be a third one. I think I went on a little bit of a stretch. Maybe I need to drink some more. I don't know. Hey, just let me know down below what you think. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, especially like content provider. It really pleases you two guys. Really help this channel out. You also subscribe. Over 90% of you not subscribed. Doesn't cost you anything. You just hit that subscribe button. Click that bell icon. There's notifications. So next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.